Mike did mention that this is the longest trip we've taken. We'll be leaving Thursday to go out and get prepared for that. We'll have a run-through Friday in their Kibbe Dome there. Playing in a dome is unique. Obviously, we've never played in a dome here before. And so the lighting and the sound, the echoes, I should say that we played in Fargo Dome. But this will be we got to get our guys used to this. It's been a long time since we've done that, so we're excited about the trip. It's an opportunity for us to try to get off this snide that we have. The challenge for this football team will be, we go out there, what team's going to show up. We're going to continue to fight, continue to play for each other, and go out and try to get a victory. They've had 16 days off for this game, so they're going to know probably our offensive, defensive, special teams better than we are. They're going to be well prepared, so we're going to have to play well to win. They've got a really good quarterback that's an NFL prospect. His dad's actually, I think, one of the coordinators for the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken, or the Chiefs. And so he does a nice job, and they do a good job overall. This is their senior day, I think it's their last home game in the Sun Belt, and so there'll be a lot of emotions for them. And we'll have to play at a high energy level to win the football game. So I feel like our team's had solid practices these first couple of days. We have to have a really good one tomorrow, and then have a nice one out there just to get off the jet lag. It is a 5-hour plane ride. Somebody did ask if we were driving. We'd had to leave last week to get there, and so hopefully we'll have a good practice tomorrow and be ready to go up there Saturday.
Kind of going off that with the long road trip. Obviously, you guys sitting in the plane for so long, the guys get to Idaho, kind of get the guys back up to speed, so they're not kind of lagging the game.
When we get there Thursday night. It's an hour-and-a-half trip, or right at an hour-and-a-half trip to the hotel or to Moscow. So we'll obviously get off the plane, get in the buses. Then once we get to the hotel, we will have a routine where we run them around a little bit, stretch them, do some things to get that out. And you won't be able to do it all, but try to do something so we can get that out. And then Friday morning, we will treat it like we're here Friday. We'll have meetings in the morning, we'll have breakfast, have meetings, and then we will go to their dome there around lunchtime and get a good hour. And we won't do a lot of, obviously, showing plays, because I'm sure they might Bill Belichick and have some video going. But we'll run around and really get a good sweat worked up. So hopefully we won't have any jet lag and some of those things. I don't want – if we don't win, it's not going to be because, we had jet lag. We're going to get all that out of us. If we don't win, it's because we didn't play well.
I know you don't want to talk about the Troy game, but how disheartening was it to have two kickoff returns go back for touchdowns and the special teams just not play up to par for you guys on Saturday?
It's frustrating because you prepare all week. You want to get off to a great start when you're playing good teams. You want to get off to a great start, and you kick it off and they return it. And then you get back in the football game, you kick it off again, they return it again. And so if you go back and look through the third quarter there up to the fourth, stat-wise and everything, if you take those plays away, you're right there in the football game. Now, it might have still ended up that way. You don't know. So it is frustrating. And the challenge, or the positive part of it is we kept fighting through that, especially after the second one. It could have been guys could have gave up and said, here we go again. But we kept fighting and gave ourselves a chance to get back in the football game. It was 28-17 when we scored the touchdown there out of halftime. And then we celebrated like we were in the NFL and spiked the ball and got a penalty. And had to kick off again from a bad kickoff position, and they got great field position, and we just didn't overcome it there. So it's a frustrating thing, but one that I know we put tons of time into, and is one of those things where we didn't tackle, we didn't fit it the way we needed to, we didn't kick it the way we needed to, and did it twice. And when you do that versus good teams, especially the returner, I think he might be the all-time record holder in the NCAA, or he maybe set that in that game. Good players, and when you don't do your job, good players can hurt you, and that's what happened.
Jamie, with 2 games to go in the season at this point in the year, it's not really necessarily at this point about wins and losses. It's more so keeping that foundation where you have it and building on that foundation. Do you feel like at this point in the season where you guys are, that you have built something that you can look at when the season's over and say, hey, this is where we're at, this is what we need to do to get better, and I see a path for us improving to where we can compete in this conference year in, year out?
I do think we're heading that direction. I think the foundation that you're trying to build is the effort, the mentality, the process that you need to go through every day to be successful, and what it takes every day. Throughout the most part of this season, we've been so up and down as far as just our effort and the intensity which we play. In the last couple weeks, Arkansas, Troy, we've played with tremendous effort. where that shouldn't be a question anymore. That's what we need to see these last 2 weeks. Are we going to continue? Because the two teams we got left are solid teams, but they don't have good records. They're like us. And so are we going to continue to use and play for each other and play with the passion, play representing each other in the school? If we do that, then yes, we've built the foundation that we need going forward, where I do think we have a good foundation laid to where we can correct the other mistakes that we're making. The kick return, whatever it may be, those can be correctable. It's hard to correct effort and attitude and the mindset, and those are the things that we worked on a lot, and that's where we've been up and down this year. You can look at our games and see we played some of the best teams relatively close and had a chance to win some of them. So it's not necessarily your talent, but then you'll play other people that maybe you feel like you can compete against, and we don't show up. So that's part of understanding what it takes every day to win. You cannot show up and play a half of football and beat anybody in the Sun Belt. You have to play 4 quarters all the time, and that's been our challenge as a staff and teaching our team is every game is important no matter who you play. You cannot look over everybody. Coastal Carolina on the front of our jersey is not scaring anybody. It's who's on the inside and how we're playing. And that's the foundation that we're trying to build, and we've made good progress there. I wish I could tell you I know 100% we're going to show up and play hard this Saturday. I believe we will, but we got to continue to grow and do that. And if we'll do that these next 2 weeks, regardless of the outcome, this season's not been obviously anything we wanted, but if that's what it had to do, if that's the lessons we had to learn to get this where we need to be, then it'll be a positive. And this season, we'll look back on this is the season that we had to go through to get to the results we wanted. And if that's the case, I can live with that.
You mentioned the close games. It seems like most of those have been on the road. Is there something maybe you can pinpoint that maybe why I don't say you guys play up the competition on the road, but games that seem to be closer on the road than they have here at home?
That's something we have talked about as a staff. If you go back through and look at that, obviously UAB was a pretty good team. That was early in the year, but we had a chance there. ULM was our first Sun Belt game, so we're how you started over no matter what your preseason was, and we played relatively well there. App State was a big team, a team that everybody knows about, so we played well there. Arkansas, obviously SEC, not played very well at home. I thought even though the score this past week ended up being that close, I thought we actually played well in a lot of ways and played. If we'd have played, take out the kick returns obviously, but if we'd have played that way in some other home games, we'd have won those home games. And so I think part of it was who we were playing, whether it was at home or away. Hey, we think we're better than them, and we didn't play the way we need to, and we're learning that. But I think the last few we've played better each week, no matter who we're playing. Now we're playing a team that, if you look at the record, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I think it's 3 and something. Are we going to look at it and say, hey, we can beat these guys? Or are we going to look at it and say, hey, we got to play well to have a chance? That's going to be our challenge this week. But we've looked at a lot of things for that home, a lot of things, because that is noticeable. We've played well on the road a lot, or better on the road. And so we looked at what we're doing on Fridays, what are we doing on game day. And I don't know if there's one thing that we put a finger to, but it is something for sure that we're going to have to study more in depth this offseason, if there is something there, or is it just us thinking we were better than the teams we were playing.
How disappointing is it from a coaching staff to go through this season the way you have, especially for the seniors that have put so much into this program over their stretch of the 4 years they've been here? Every year they've been here, you guys have been successful. You've done amazing things. You've won conference championships, so on and so forth. How difficult has it been to watch this year unfold for these guys in their last year and just still searching for wins and things along those lines, and having to see them go through that process?
It's difficult. It's frustrating for them because that they don't want their last year, their senior year to go out the way it has. So you're disappointed for them. But what we've challenged them with is the legacy that you're leaving through this senior year, how you respond to this adversity, what you want these young people to learn through it. If you teach them the right lessons and teach them to understand that, hey, it's a process to go through it, that'll mean more in the long run than all those other successes you have, because, you have success, you've won a lot, and that's great, but when you've had to actually build something and do something for the first time, and we are doing something for the first time here, and the foundation that these seniors are leaving, how to respond to it and what they want to be remembered by, in my opinion, will be a lot more important than the other 3 years. Yeah, it'd be great to win out and to win, and go out and win and won a championship, all those things. But we weren't ready for that. But if they leave the legacy of an Oshamar, the legacy that he leaves of how his attitude is and the way he prepares, and that passes down to our younger players, and they understand, hey, they get it. This is what it takes. Then it will be a success long term. And so I am disappointed for them because you want anybody to go through some winning season as coaches. You know, these coaches around there have been through anything like this in a long time, probably ever. And so they're frustrating as well. But it's part of the process of building it. And if your kids understand, hey, we're going through this, but this is going to lay the foundation for championships to come and bowl games to come. And when those championships come, when those bowl games come, we can look back on this year and those seniors knowing, hey, maybe it didn't show up on the field, but I contributed in the locker room, and I contributed to these young people, getting them to understand what it takes to get to that point. And if we can do that, then their senior will be a success. Maybe not as other people view it, maybe not on the outside, but we know on the inside, and the teamwork in the locker room and in the weight room and all the other areas, it can be viewed as a success. And that's what, when we look back on as a coaching staff, we'll see, did we get what we need to do out of the season, not wins and losses wise, but to build the program where it needs to go.
What's unique about playing at Idaho this week in the Dome, going across the country, taking the team this far away? What can you guys do as coaches and players to bring this team a little bit closer together here with a couple weeks to go?
Well, the uniqueness is it's so far, obviously. Typically when you're doing, something like this, it's a playoff game or it's a bowl game or something. So it's being a conference, obviously it's all the time we'll play them. I think that makes it unique. And leaving on a Thursday, instead of a Friday typically, we're going to have a lot of time to spend together. Now, usually when it's this late in the year, you're wanting to really not see anybody as much. You've seen them all, you've been seeing them forever. But I think, and as I mentioned before, one, it's an opportunity for us to get a win. We've not had a Sun Belt win. It's an opportunity for us to get a Sun Belt win. So I think that's a positive thing that we can obviously shoot for. But two is the uniqueness of it, or what we can get out of the trip is, are we going to continue to fight for the right reasons and continue to have a passion and play for each other to purpose? And I think that's what makes this trip very significant. We want to win, but the significance of it, are we going to continue to play out when there's nothing to play for, when you're playing teams that don't have it, they've struggled as well? What's the purpose? What team's going to show up? That's what makes this trip, in my mind, very important for this program going forward. I don't know if that's unique, but that's what I believe.
Coach, I think I overheard you saying Tyler's out again this week.
Yes.
Is Austin the number 2 quarterback right now? And I heard you say Chance also is a possibility.
Yeah, Chance is got cleared to start practicing, so we've practiced him a little bit. Austin is somebody that's gotten reps, mostly all year, some. And so if something happened with Kilton last week, I threw him in there. Kilton was going to come back in, but I knew he could handle some of those situations. If we got the situation where we lost Kilton for a long time in the game, we would have a mix of who we could put in there to perform certain things. We'd have to let Austin Wilson do some things. You'd probably see Demos do a couple things, and then if Chance is healthy, then if he can do it, put him in there a little bit. The thing with Chance is you can give him some reps, but one play, and something might happen again. So you have that always in the back of your mind. If you prepare a plan for him, and then something goes out, you don't have Tyler to back him up. Where you feel Tyler can handle a lot of those things. So it's an interesting predicament right now, but we'll work through it.
And you have some other players that are definitively out or likely out this week.
I would say likely out for sure. Kyan has got an ankle injury, and he's not been able to practice much, but he's going to work. We're going to take him on the trip, and he's still got 2-3 days, so we'll see. Quay Paul, very similar. He's banged up with his ankle. Doesn't look good, but we'll take him and see if he game time, run him around. When you get that energy and that on game day, that excitement, sometimes those injuries heal a little bit quicker. So we'll see if those guys are going, but it might be we might have some guys that have not played a lot play a lot more in this game.
The evolution of Alex James this season and what he's been able to accomplish so far, you can just see it each game, that he just seems to get more comfortable in that offense and figuring out that, playing at the D1 level. Have you been impressed with the way he's approached this season and how he's improved? And looks like he has a chance to be the future back next year.
Alex has gotten better each week. And I think for a young guy, especially just the grind of the season, is a challenge. You start out well, and then you maybe take a little step back, and then you figure it out. Obviously, Alex was learning still through the first part of the year, not getting as many plays, and here the last several weeks he's gotten a bunch, and he's done a really nice job with what we've asked him to do. He's very versatile, and you'll actually see him more probably playing some receiver a little bit this week as well in certain times. One, because of our injuries there, and two, he's capable of doing that. So I think Alex has got a chance to be a very productive player here. I think he's got a chance to be an all-conference type player if he'll continue to work and do the things that he's capable of. But he's very conscientious to want to be a really good player. He does the things right off the field, and those are the guys that you like, that you can count on those guys. You can count on who they are and what they're about. And he wants the ball every time, but he never complains about it. He understands what his role is. And as an offensive guy, you want guys to get your playmaker the ball, but you want guys that are selfless as well. So if we ask Alex to go block 50 times, he go blocks 50 times. He's never one time asked me why he's not getting the ball or any of those things. And he's somebody you can definitely build your offense around. And he'll be continue to see more and more playing time this year. And then I think he'll definitely be a feature guy going forward.
You mentioned Idaho's long layoff, obviously senior day, and with them going down to the FCS as well after the season. Kind of how imperative is it for y'all to set the tone early? I
think it's a big deal. They're going to be excited to play. Obviously, it's their last home game senior-wise, and then not playing in 16 days. So they're going to come out and be excited. So every play, they're going to be jacked up energy-wise. And so we've got to do something positive early and try to set a tone that we're here to play as well. Because if you let them get some momentum and let them get feeling good, then it's going to be a long day for us. And I think we've got to, offensively, whatever it may be, if we have to kick off, we got to do a great job of covering. We can't let them get great return, and we got to stop them. And we need to score points early and to put them behind, because everybody that's went out there, with the exception of UNLV, they've jumped on early. They had App down 20-0, ended up getting beat, I think, 23-20. And so they've played really well at home. And just not been able to finish, some of those. And so that's been the real most. We've got to weather the storm, so to speak, early. We need to come out, and we need to be the one going after people early, and we need to be the most excited to play. Our team needs to show that.
What's exciting me, I get a chance to win, I only got 2 more games left. I'm a senior, so it's a chance, just to be around the guys for a good little minute, because we leaving earlier than we normally do. So just a chance, for team bonding, spend time with your brothers. Just talk about, what brothers talk about.
What do you see from this Idaho defense that maybe you guys can exploit a little bit, kind of find some points on the road as you have most of the season?
It's a great defense. They got a great front seven, and they secondary pretty good too. So right now, I'm pretty sure the coaches got a great game plan. We've been going over practicing all week. So we just gonna play to whatever they give us, like when we show up. Of course, it seemed like every team we play had a bye week right before we play them. So I'm pretty sure they got us, dialed up a little bit. But I'm pretty sure our coaches also got a great game plan.
For either of you guys, Dean, I think had asked this, you guys have seemed to play better on the road than at home. Is there something different about going on the road? Where you guys have just been more like amped up, ready to go, things like that? Maybe what's been the difference?
From the team perspective, I think maybe because you're expected to lose, so therefore you play with a little bit more of a chip on your shoulder. And when you're at home, you don't take anyone for granted, but you don't know what to expect, so to speak. So coming from the position of us being the underdogs, we jump out, which is maybe why we've played a little bit better on the road. But when we're home, we haven't really had that same type of feeling, because this is our house, so you know what I'm saying? It's like you're not supposed to lose at your house, but you never really know what to expect in this game, and that's proven to be true this year.
Coach Shamar, same thing? Any difference or any reason why maybe you guys are playing better on the road?
It's the same reason why Dwayne said. I feel like that we underdogs. Like every time we go away, we don't have too many fans traveling, so we feel like we have a point to prove to the other team, and I'm really not sure why we don't play the same way. But last week against Troy, I feel like the team played very hard last week against Troy. But I'm really not sure why. It's a big difference from away games and home games.
Have you guys both been the trips to both Montana and North Dakota?
No.
Both those places?
No.
No, Just
Yeah.
North Dakota State, sir.
Just North Dakota State, okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So, having traveled out there, I mean, a trip like that, what, is it more tiring or more fun, or is there a little bit of both in there, or how does that work for you?
I remember being tired the first day, so I was glad. I think we left early. I think we left on a Wednesday or Thursday. I'm
think
not.
it was
I
Wednesday.
say I'm not sure, but I know when I first got there, I was tired, and it was very cold. But like I got used to it, and playing in a dorm is very different. The ball can get lost in the lights, so you really have to focus.
Do you recall that trip, and do you think it's more fun, more tiring, or, is it an opportunity for the team to bond, or you guys get tired of each other?
I mean, you're around someone every day for a specific amount of time, and then next thing you know, y'all are like a band of brothers just in the house without your parents, so to speak. So it's like you have more fun. It's more energetic. I think a big reason why a lot of people get tired is because they're not used to being on planes for that long or taking long journeys like that. But I've done that before, so me personally, it didn't affect me. But other people, I think that's the reason why it affected them.
And what do you guys do? Is there a lot more time, let's say, at night or something to hang out? Do you guys organize games or activities or anything like that with the team?
I mean, we mainly sit around each other a little bit more, speak more in depth about football, other things that are on your mind, anything else you want to just talk to somebody that you normally don't talk to, or maybe not as long. You get the opportunity to do that.
Another thing we do, a lot of guys bring their game system, play the game. Some guys play cards, and just get around and talk. Like Dwayne said, it's just a great time to bond with your teammates and brothers.